This is the story of Angel Francisco Breard, who, in February 1992, murdered his neighbor Ruth Dickey. Now, what's interesting about this case is at the time of the murder, Angel claimed that he had a satanic curse, and that curse is what forced him to commit this crime. I'll go through all the facts of the case. I'll tell you the full story about his own personal background and what happened to Miss Dickey. So if you do end up liking this video, please subscribe. I also have a second true crime channel. Links are in the description. Now, Angel was born in Corrientes, Argentina. He was the youngest of 4 children, and unfortunately, at the age of 7, where his family had to move to Paraguay, he was sexually assaulted by a soldier. Now, by the age of 15, it was reported that he began to consume alcohol, even in front of his father, as his father was an alcoholic. Now, in 1985, Breard was involved in a car accident and it left him unconscious. It was said that he suffered severe brain injuries. Family members went on to say that the moments after he woke up from these injuries, he was never the same again. He became short-tempered, he became impulsive, and his speech was slightly slurred. Now, in 1986, Angel moved to the United States, where he enrolled into English classes and gained employment straight away. He then got married to one of his English instructors the following year in 1987, but he was a heavy drinker. He was an alcoholic, and this damaged the marriage. And in the same year of 1987, after 4 months of marriage, him and the English instructor separated. Because of the end of his marriage, he became severely depressed and even more dependent on alcohol. But the reason why he went to America, like my parents went to England, is so they could, or his parents could, send money back to our or his poor families back home. This is the chain of immigration in the 70s and 80s, and I guess a little bit today. For Angel, however, his social life and his life in general started to deteriorate, and in 1992 he became so dependent on alcohol. He was such a big alcoholic that he was unable to work. He would drink every single day and he just couldn't be sober for work. Now, on the 17th of February 1992, Ruth Dickey was sexually assaulted and stabbed in her apartment. Angel was arrested and charged with sexual assault and capital murder. Now, he never denied his involvement in the murder, but he always claimed that a satanic curse placed on him by his former father-in-law was the reason why he acted what he did. And he also believed that if he just admitted to what he did and was honest, he felt the jury during the trial would be more sympathetic toward him. Guess he didn't know American juries, huh? Now, the reason why Angel believed this is because he's been to court in Paraguay and in Argentina, and he knows how harsh they could be. In his mind, he was in home of the brave, land of the free. Wait, home of the free, land of the brave? I don't know, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? He was in America, the beacon of the world, right? The best bastion of democracy. He felt he would get a fair trial, but what his lawyers told him was, sorry mate, the more you claim you did it, the more unsympathetic the jury will be towards you, and a bigger reason they would have to convict you. It's not criticism, I'm just saying that was the truth. And the reason why Angel wanted to be honest and hoped to have the jury on his side is because he did not want the death penalty. Now, despite his own admission of guilt and the advice of his attorneys, Angel refused to submit a guilty plea and take a reduced sentence which was offered by the prosecutors. Instead, he believed if he went up on the witness stand, told the truth, told them about this satanic curse and, you know, his life in general, that the jury would be lenient on him. He was adamant that if he did this, then he could get away with execution. So he eventually entered a plea of not guilty, and in June 93, the case went to trial. Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot to mention, this took place in Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. area, where I live. Now, capital murder charges in the United States go through 2 phases. During the first phase, the guilt or innocence of a defendant is determined. A separate hearing is then held to which the defense presents any evidence that could help the defendant, you know, in case they might impose a lesser sentence. Now, after hearing 3 days of testimony, the jury convicted Angel of sexual assault and capital murder. The penalty phase of the trial lasted only 3 hours, and the lawyers for Angel presented no mitigating evidence. See, the jury at this point didn't really know about his head injuries, back home. The lawyers didn't present it in a way that the jury could consider when sentencing the punishment onto Angel. His mother was the only one in the witness stand who testified on his behalf. They never heard from any other family friends, any acquaintances, or any other people of substance that could verify that the car crash he had back in 1985 had severe detrimental effects on his brain. Now, in hindsight, nobody's thinking, well, he could have got off from the charge. No, no, no. It's just a huge mitigating factor into why he committed this crime, perhaps. You can see the link where after this severe brain injury, he comes to the United States. He claims some kind of satanic curse. You can see the link, right? How his brain could have messed with him. However, given that none of this was really presented to the jury properly, as far as the jury are concerned, all they heard was that Angel killed a woman, as he admitted, and then blamed it on a curse. A jury is not going to be sympathetic to that. You understand what I'm saying? And despite this incomplete mitigating evidence that his lawyers did not present, the jurors took 6 hours to sentence him. Again, to reiterate, because as far as they're concerned, he confessed and he blamed it on some curse. Now, the jury did ask the judge, how long would he be in jail for if he was sentenced to life without parole? Like, what is the minimum term? But the judge did not give the jury any additional information, which would, in most cases, return a death sentence verdict. So on the 25th of June 1993, the verdict came in that Angel would be sentenced to death. Now, before I continue, the question I want to ask you is that was capital murder at this point the correct decision? Knowing that there was a large part of information the jury didn't know and that he didn't get the right defense, right? He admitted to it, he did it, but should he have been sentenced to death? Or do you think he should have had a retrial? Now, Amnesty International got involved in the case and they claimed that given Angel was from Argentina, right? He could have gone to his local consulate, he could have contacted the Argentine government, and they would have perhaps provided him the counsel that he deserved in their eyes. In cases where foreign citizens commit murder, contacting their consular could be the difference between the death sentence and life in prison. But without the assistance of the consulate, he may not have known how the American judicial proceedings are handled. And even though his lawyers claimed they told him, don't confess, they're not going to help you out, mate, regarding the jury, it's fair to say his best help was the consulate. It wasn't until 1996 where Angel realized, hey, I can actually go to my consulate. So he didn't even know that this was a service potentially available for him. But as part of his appeal, at that point, the US Court of Appeal said, too late now, mate. And given capital cases in the state of Virginia prohibit, like once you appeal, after that appeal, you can't just add in more evidence after. You can't say, oh, I just found out about this consular. In the state of Virginia, at that point, they're thinking to themselves, well, you were found guilty, you confessed to it, you've then had ample opportunity to fix the situation, and you haven't. So this new consulate that may help you? No, we're not accepting it. But it was Paraguay that helped him. When the government of Paraguay found out about this case, they filed a civil suit against the state of Virginia in 96. This suit sought a court injunction against the death penalty and to vacate his execution. But the US Fourth Circuit Court dismissed this suit in 1998. And on the 14th of April 1998, the state of Virginia executed Angel. Now, after his execution, there was a whole raft of controversy between Argentina, Paraguay, and the United States, and how the United States allowed this to happen. It was claimed by Amnesty International that the United States goes around the world claiming human rights. We are a beacon of human rights, yet here they are executing foreign nationals. Now, I think that's I don't believe in that headline. That's not my headline. That's what Amnesty International said. So don't kill me for it. So Angel, at the age of 32, died by lethal injection at the Greensville Correctional Center at 10:39 p.m. that day. His last words were, "May glory be to God." The execution came after Virginia Governor Jim Gilmore refused to block the execution, and the United States Courts of Appeal, after their procedure, did not want to get involved after. Now, in my own personal opinion, I don't think the United States did anything wrong, but I'm not saying the death penalty is okay. I don't know how I feel about the death penalty, to be honest, and I don't, like, this isn't about that, but to me, I think what's really sad here is how alone he was. And I speak about this a lot. To me, the biggest problem for most criminal suspects is loneliness. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm correct. I'm trying to open a dialogue and a discourse. But why was he continuously drinking alcohol? Maybe when he was young, his father validated it for him. If you're 15 years old and you're drinking every single day with your father, that in itself is telling you, yo, alcohol is completely fine. Drink it whenever you want. You can't solely hold his father responsible for his actions, but it's clear to say that his father would certainly have had an influence on him. As for a satanic curse, doesn't matter whether you believe in God or Satan. I mean, we all know Satan is Roland McDonald anyway. Their food is garbage. But whether you believe in God or Satan or not, there's no way you can prove to a court that Satan made you do this. The United States Constitution is based on material evidence. Satan and these kind of concepts are not something we can touch, feel, or observe. So there is no way the jury is going to buy that. Angel wasn't to know, but we can all agree that's a fact. I mean, that defense is just not going to fly in court. These guys won't let me off a speeding ticket. I mean, I told you I live here, right? I get a speeding ticket. Nah, mate, go to court. If they're not going to let me off, you think they can let Angel off? But the feeling I got from this story is that it's just so sad. It's just so sad. I mean, the car crash itself could have detrimental effects. It doesn't matter. That's just a sad event in itself. The sexual insult he endured as a child when he was around 7, that's just another sad event. And credit to him for coming to the United States, learning English, and trying to chase the American dream. Fair play for the effort. He even got married, but it seemed like marriage was just too big a burden, and he was too weak and maybe needy for him to look after another woman. And maybe there was a culture clash between South America and America. Who knows why that marriage didn't turn out? But a sad story. Why don't you guys comment? Tell me what you think.